Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the Bundesliga show, the Bundesliga fantasy show. Tuning in this morning slightly late, so apologies for that. Just a few minor technical difficulties, but we're ready to press on with another fantasy show, looking ahead to the next match week of the Bundesliga with all the best hints and tips from, well, mainly Rune and Bulinews. Rune, how are you doing this morning?
I'm good, thanks. It's been a bit hectic, but now I'm ready and prepared for another round of fantasy football. I'm especially excited to see if Bayern can bounce back against Bochum. Of course, that will be a game to watch, and then also a game between two Danes, new Mainz coach Bo Henriksen and Jes Torup. That's a game that I'll definitely be watching, being Danish myself. So yeah, excited to see if Henriksen will get off to a winning start there.
Yeah, absolutely. The aptly named Bo going into the Mainz job. Or I think they chatted about it a little bit last night, which I was trying to catch whilst driving down south. So yeah, well, without further delay, we'll not dwell too much on league positions today because myself and Rune have got a few bits to crack on with, so we'll go straight into it. So let's get the defenders going. Below screen right there. Good morning to everyone, by the way. Completely out of sync here. Yeah, make sure to leave a thumbs up if you can do as well. Comments already coming through, which is fantastic. Good morning to Tim, Ballum, Jay as well, all tuning in, and everyone that's watching. Make sure you are subscribing to the channel. Right then, Rune, over to yourself to crack on with your budget pick to start with.
Yeah. And that's Max Fingreve this week. It's been one of few bright spots for Köln this season. Haven't broken through and emerged as a regular starter for them. And he's been in great form lately, scoring 34 points in his last 3 games. And most recently, he scored 16 points against Hoffenheim. So that's the type of player you want, of course, in your team, especially for that price. A player capable of getting such a high score is very valuable at that price. And I also think Köln have a pretty good home fixture against Werder, which could go either way. So yeah, if in terms of budget options at the back, I don't think it gets much better than Fingreve at the moment. My mid-price pick is a bit of an obvious one, Mittelstedt. Still a bit surprised that his ownership isn't higher, actually, because yeah, he's received a lot of praise from Stuttgart coach Sebastian Hoeneß lately, and rightly so. Has scored in 2 Bundesliga games in a row and is really playing some amazing football and is taking a big step forward since joining from Hertha last summer. And of course, Stuttgart have a fixture to target this week against Darmstadt, one of the strongest teams in the league versus one of the weakest ones. Makes a lot of sense to invest in Stuttgart right now. And then finally, my premium pick is Guerrero. A bit of a gamble, I know, given his high price and Bayern's recent struggles. But he looks set to start at left back for Bayern, and his ownership is quite low. We all know what he's capable of with his left foot. Can really get involved offensively, score goals and provide assists as well. And Bayern will be out to prove a point against Bochum this week. And don't forget that they crossed them 7-0 in the reverse fixture. Yeah, I don't know if that's what we will see from them this week, but they will definitely be out to show that they can perform better than they have in the last 2 games.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, some great points there. I think my defenders really helped me out last week. My midfielders had an absolute horror show, personally speaking. So it's my defenders and strikers who got me out of jail a little bit, and Mittelstedt being one of them. We'll just quickly come to a comment from Jay, aka FPL Gunnosaurus, just mentioning how he owns both RB Leipzig fullbacks and Bayer Leverkusen fullbacks. Is Mittelstedt, who I also own, to Rafa/Mazraoui a good move? Would you also play 4 at the back with those assets, Rune? So would you consider playing 4 with those RBL and Leverkusen fullbacks in your team?
I don't think I would sell Mittelstedt. Actually, I feel more comfortable about him doing well than Guerrero and Masraoui at the moment. I think it's a very good game for Stuttgart that they will be dominating, and Mittelstedt will be involved a lot, moving up the left side. So selling him wouldn't be a good decision for me, at least. Forward the back, that's a very strong back line there, so makes sense. But at the same time, if either Leverkusen or Leipzig slip, then you will maybe have a bit of a problem, since you have two players from each team. Can't really see Leverkusen disappointing, but we've seen from Leipzig earlier this season that they've been a bit inconsistent, I think, at times. Also didn't get the result they wanted last week either. So I mean, could pay off, but could also turn out to be a bad decision if Leipzig don't perform.
Yeah, Leipzig have been a very strange team this season, haven't they? They played so well against Madrid as well. Opportunities ensuing. I mean, what a missed opportunity that was for them. Another question as well from Yona. So good morning to you. What about Weiser? Is he a good chance against Köln? Weiser's has he been missing the last few weeks, I think?
Yeah.
But he's presumably he's now back in. So what are your thoughts about Weiser?
Yeah, very good differential. Weiser is really he's been a great fantasy asset over the last few years. Always capable of doing well. The only thing that would hold me back is that he's just coming back from injury. So we don't know if he's maybe needs a bit of time to get up to full speed again. But definitely a good differential. A bit expensive, I feel, all things considered. But yeah, sure, a player to consider. Also with given Werder's nice fixtures, they have Darmstadt after this one, so could be a player to keep for next week as well.
Yeah, Werder would be very keen to get back on that excellent run that they're on before running into an informed Heidenheim team. Right then, over to the midfielders, which are also now going below at the bottom of your screen. And we'll start off with an FC Köln player, Rune.
Yeah, another budget pick from FC Köln. I also think I mentioned Thielmann last week. And yeah, the fact that he's playing out of position as a striker and is affordable, of course, that makes him a player to have on your radar automatically. Didn't have his best game last week, but I still think he's worth considering, and he's one of the only options I would consider in the cheap budget range in midfield. And then my mid-price pick is another sort of a gamble, Nadim Amiri. I know Mainz haven't been playing that well lately, and they haven't been getting the results they wanted. I actually feel they've been a bit unlucky on the Sievert. Probably deserved more from a lot of games. They've also been a bit lacked a bit of ruthlessness in front of goal. But if you've watched the game since Amiri's joined, he's been involved in pretty much everything offensively for them since coming from Leverkusen, and he's on all set pieces. Not sure about penalties, but at least he's taking corners and free kicks, and has been doing very well. I feel has been playing well every game since joining from Leverkusen. So I feel if they are to get off to a good start under new coach Bo Henriksen, he's likely to play a key role, and I could see them getting a good result there, as we sometimes see when teams get a new coach. And given the nature of Bo Henriksen, I know him very well. He's the kind of guy who can make players believe in themselves, and he's very enthusiastic, and maybe the kind of coach they need at the moment. And then finally, my premium pick is Julian Brandt, just because I wanted to mention him again. His ownership is not that high, and we all know he's a very good fantasy asset. He spoke at length in a recent interview about the illness that sidelined him for a bit longer than initially expected. I think he said he had a fever for 8 days. So pretty terrible for Brandt. But now he's back and looks ready to start against the Wolfsburg side, playing some very uninspiring football. I don't really have that I don't have that high expectations for Wolfsburg, and I think it's probably only a matter of time before Kovac will lose that job. So should be a game that Dortmund should have a good chance of winning.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, by all means, don't want to see a manager lose their job, but Niko Kovac is not getting a tune out of this team, and they are the squad that they have is certainly capable of better, shall we say. Just quickly reflect on a question from Jeff in regards to a defender, which obviously Maatsen. Any reason to shy away from him? Personally speaking, I won't be Jeff. He was one of the few players, like I said, from a defensive point of view, who saved my points haul last week, and against a Wolfsburg side who really, I say hot and cold. They're not even slightly hot at the moment. So, Rune, would you stick with Maatsen if he was in your team?
Yeah, definitely. He is in my team and will stay there. Probably my favorite January signing in the Bundesliga. I think he's been so impressive for Dortmund, and he's been playing a big role ever since he came, and very involved in the build-up and attacking wise as well. So yeah, just seems like a very good player and just the kind of lift back they needed.
Well, yeah, absolutely. It's all about the summer for Dortmund, isn't it? Really, and seeing what they can maybe do. Well, the active clause, I think, is around 35-ish, maybe million.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that would be a great piece of business if they can tempt Chelsea. Couple in from Jay as well. Let's go through these. Is Olmo worth a move out for someone like Hoffman, Brandt, or Grifo this match day? If so, who for? Freiburg are playing Frankfurt, aren't they? And they've both just been involved in matches. So unsure about rotation risks there, I guess. And Grifo didn't do anything last week for me. I think, to be fair, I made a mistake keeping him in my team because they were playing Dortmund. But we've got Hoffman and Brandt, who you just mentioned, Rune. So would you maybe move out Olmo?
Yeah, that's one of the considerations I have as well. Not because I don't like Olmo, but he's just played in midweek as well. So, I mean, could get rotated out, but we don't know. I think his minutes are likely to be managed. So that's a thing to consider. Hoffman, if I remember correctly, is on sale this week, but his position in the Leverkusen lineup is far from certain either. So we'll probably steer clear of him. I think Tella and Adli are pushing to start as well. So not certain about Hoffman. Brandt, as I said, just come back from a pretty tough period with illness. Might be a good time to get him in now that he's back, but also, just as I said with Weiser earlier, may need a bit more time to get back to his best. So that would be a bit of a gamble, but could pay off, especially against Wolfsburg, who I don't trust to do well. And then Grifo, actually, he was rested last night, didn't play that much. If I remember correctly, he came on towards the end, replacing Martin Røhl. So should be pretty fresh to play. Maybe it could be a good time to get Grifo in. It's been a bit more inconsistent this season. Hasn't been playing up to the standards we saw from him last season. But then again, he's also had games where he's just done really well and been a great differential, given the fact that his ownership is lower this season. It's just 12% at the moment. So I think I would probably go for Grifo out of those three.
Okay, yeah, great stuff. Sorry if we've got a few internet connections, particularly on my end. I'm down south in my parents' house, which have very thick walls, so the internet isn't always super strong. So apologies if I dip in and out every so often. But we press on. Just quickly as well, staff, Musiala or Wirtz. I'm thinking Wirtz myself, Rune, but would you see a determined Musiala could have a point to prove in a sense?
Yeah, he could. But Wirtz is definitely the safe pick if you want to. I really can't. It would really surprise me if he doesn't do well. Whereas Musiala hasn't been up to his best recently. So so Wirtz would be the obvious choice of those two.
Perfect. So I will now, if I can amend this banner, just bear with me one moment to make sure it scrolls rather than stays put. There we are. So strikers are now going below at the bottom of your screen, Rune, so let's kickstart those as well.
Yeah, budget pick is a bit of a pricey one this week, Maximilian Bayer from Hoffenheim. But I just wanted to mention him and mention a Hoffenheim player because they're playing the league's worst away team in Union Berlin. It's a game I'm really begging Hoffenheim to win. And Bayer has scored 8 goals and provided 5 assists in the league this season already. So he's shown that he's very capable of getting involved in goals and doesn't cost that much either. And his ownership is quite low. And my mid-price pick is a bit of an obvious one. If you don't already have Ondau, it makes a lot of sense to jump on the bandwagon and get him, given his amazing form and Stuttgart's great fixtures. If you want to go with a differential, you could pay a bit more to get Guirassy in instead. I mean, he's not probably not up to his best yet after returning from AFCON, but his ownership is much lower than Undav's, and I just looked at the scoring odds, and his scoring odds are actually lower than the ones for Undav. Maybe also because he's on penalties. So yeah, if you want to do something different, that could be an option. And then finally, my premium pick is Luis Openda. He's on sale, so a good way to save some money and get him in. And then I think Leipzig have a quite good home game against Gladbach, who they should normally win. They're big favorites there, but be aware that Openda plays Bayern away next week, so maybe don't get too many Leipzig players in.
Yeah, absolutely. Some really good pick options there, and I mean, yeah, Guirassy. I mean, whether he comes into the team or not, Undav certainly isn't going to be dropped. Let's put it that way. So you wouldn't think anyway. So Undav is. Sorry,
Rune said some interesting stuff at the press conference yesterday. Undav has been struggling with muscular problems, and there was also a doubt last week. And Rune said he was subbed off with, he felt a bit of muscular pain. So and with Guirassy, he's been out and returned from the AFCON and probably not up to full fitness yet. So there's a bit of an uncertainty with both of them, but you're right. I would back Undav to start over Guirassy unless Hoeneß is really concerned about the muscular issue he has. Then he should start. Whereas Guirassy is a bit more of a question mark. But I just wanted to mention that he had those like remarks about each of them that are interesting from a fantasy perspective if you want to invest in one of them.
Yeah, no, very true. Yeah, I do recall actually during the Mainz match. Undav coming off with holding his leg. So yeah, interesting one there. So we'll watch that with great interest. So let's just finish off with as many questions as we possibly can do. Some great ones coming in. We'll start with Jonas, which is about Chaibi. Who is someone seriously looking at from Frankfurt, giving his assists and scoring. What do you think? Because he scored and assisted last night in Frankfurt's 2-2 draw with Union Saint-Gilloise. And yeah, he's doing really well, Rune. And he's a player that myself and Mark have been really impressed with. And he was a missed player, very much so, when he went to AFCON as well. Bit of a differential, that one.
Yeah, absolutely. Also a player I've been keeping an eye on. My problem is that you only have 5 spots in midfield, so it's very difficult to fit in all the players you like. But in terms of a differential pick, I think Chaibi is a very good option. Looks like a very exciting player.
Yeah, agreed. Jay was asking about Guirassy to Undav, whether it's a sideways move or not. I think hopefully we've covered that for you, Jay. Well, as well as we can do. A bit of a tricky one this week with those two. So we'll leave that to your own best judgment. But it looks like that Undav, if he's got over this little knock or tweak,
that would be the safe pick, I feel, to just go with Undav. Also because of his high ownership, a lot of people have him already and probably won't sell. So yeah, if you don't want to take a chance, I think Undav is the player to go with.
Yeah, I think in a perfect world, Undav for Hoeneß at least, he'll start, and then he'll be able to bring on Guirassy even earlier into the second half to either make an impact or just to keep on, working up his fitness in that sense. I'm not sure if Silas will be back either. So yeah, we'll move on. Random goalkeeper question from Jay about whether to keep Niklas, because it's Jonas Omlin back in team training. I think he is due back soon, isn't he, Rune Omlin?
Yeah, he is. But based on what Seoane said at the press conference, looks like he'll still need some time. So probably not next week, but sure, at some point, Niklas is going to lose his spot. That's already been emphasized by Seoane as well, that Omlin is expected to come back at some point. Don't think it will be next week though. But if you have a spare transfer and want to use it on a different goalkeeper this week, then I think that's worth considering. The problem is that it's difficult to find one as cheap as Nicolas.
Yeah, no, very true. One in from Sophia, so I'll read this one out. Thinking of taking a chance on Iglesias. He is owned by 0%, so it could be a good differential. I was thinking of doing Undav to Iglesias. Thoughts? My strikers are Kane and Füllkrug. So really interesting thinking there, Sophia, trying to get in the differentials to sneak above people. I like that. So what do you reckon, Rune? What have you thought of Iglesias in the very short stints that we've seen him?
Yeah, he's a different kind of player to Schick, which I also think is part of the reason why Leverkusen got him. He's more of a target man, not as involved in the build-up play. But makes a lot of sense for Leverkusen to have a more physical presence in the box than Schick. And I think he's a very good alternative, and Schick has been benched the last 2 games, so probably that's could be a sign that at the moment maybe Alonso is looking at different options. He's looking at the alternatives because clearly Schick is lacking the confidence right now. So, but of course, it's a bit of a gamble. It's very difficult to predict if Iglesias or Schick will start, and Alonso is not. He's keeping his cards really close to his chest at the press conferences. So, very difficult to predict. But if you feel like taking a chance there, could be worth doing. What you could do is to choose a 4-4-2. So if Iglesias doesn't start, then you will just have him on the bench, and then you'll have 2 other good options playing in Kane and Füllkrug. That could be a way to do that gamble and do it in a legitimate way.
Yeah, absolutely. One in from Jay Nelson as well. Good morning, Jay. Is it time to move away from 2 Bayern strikers? On paper, a good fixture for them this weekend, but they just seem so underwhelming currently. So yeah, very interesting question there, Jay. Feels like there's quite a lot of good options out there striker-wise, as there has been all season. So it does feel quite almost greedy to have at the moment 2 Bayern strikers for everyone. What do you think, Rune? I mean, I personally steered away from 2 Bayern strikers maybe last week or 2 weeks ago. What about yourself?
Yeah, I actually wanted to get rid of Sané last week, but I couldn't because I had to spend the transfers on other players not playing. But this week, I think, you sum it up really well. Really, a very good game for Bayern on paper. A game that they could win very comfortably, and where Sané and Kane could both do really well. But sure, they haven't been playing up to the standards we expect from them, or that we usually see from them. So right now, I'm leaning towards selling Sané and getting Openda in because he's on sale, and I think his matchup is great too. And I don't trust Bayern that much at the moment. I need to see like typical Bayern performance from them before I want to have two strikers from them right now, given the other really good options from other teams.
Yeah, no, agreed. I am so intrigued to see how Bayern go this weekend. I really am. Question in from Tim as well. Stuttgart forward star? Question mark. So Tim is debating whether maybe giving Undav or Guirassy the nod. Obviously, in what is potentially a good matchup what is a good matchup fancy wise for them. What do you reckon, Rune? Just with maybe the uncertainty around whether who starts and stuff like that, maybe slightly more off-putting.
Yeah, a bit. I'm a bit wary of because of that. At the same time, difficult to see Undav not starting. It would really surprise me if he's not in the starting 11. Definitely a good matchup, but in a way, I also feel like just starting Harry Kane, because maybe given Bayern's problems, a lot of people will look to maybe star Undav or Openda, or look for different option up front. And at some point, Kane will start scoring a lot of goals again. Bayern will start scoring a lot of goals again, I think, and could be one of those weeks. So in a way, I feel like just keeping it on Kane, but Undav is a very good alternative, and Openda is also a totally legitimate star option up front.
Yeah, no doubt. Then I think the final question which hopefully we haven't missed any, is from Jonna about formations, which obviously you already slightly touched on, Rune, in regards to what Sophia was suggesting, and potentially using a 4-4-2 this weekend. So I think, it sounds like a good strategy depending on the strikers that you may be willing to have in your team as a rotation. Well, not a rotation option, but as a backup, as to who scores the best. Obviously, that takes away. Well, yeah, it takes away from your midfield slightly, but yeah, it could be a good one for this weekend, perhaps.
Yeah, maybe. But at the same time, I'm looking to get Openda and Undav in. So I'll have Openda, Undav, and Kane, and I would find it really hard to bench one of those three strikers. So in a way, I think 4-3-3 is actually more of a consideration for me. I probably should have gone with a 4-3-3 last week already. And I really like the defensive options this week. I have a lot of faith in Martsen and the Leverkusen duo, of course. And then players like Raum and Mittelstedt could also have great weeks as well. Trust them a lot too. And maybe I even trust them more than some of the midfield options at the moment. Musiala is a bit of a he's not in great form at the moment, for example. And if you have Olmo, that's the rotation risk we talked about earlier. He's also not been up to his best, I feel. So I feel 4 defenders at least makes sense and is worth considering.
Yeah, now that you say it, after my midfielder debacle last week, that could be perfect. So 4-3-3 sounds interesting indeed. Awesome. So thank you very much, everyone. That's been, really enjoyable show this morning. So much to ponder on, so many great questions and interactions. So, this show really is nothing without you guys, which has made it great fun to do this morning. So we will just close by saying, if possible, if you can indeed, leave a thumbs up on the show. That is always appreciated. Comment along subsequently if you're not watching live right at this moment. And of course, subscribe to the channel to ensure that you don't miss out on all of the great content coming your way. Thank you, Rune, and thank you everyone again. We'll catch you next time. Cheers all.
Bye.